What is up? We are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide. I'm the host with the most, Mr. We Are Wrestling himself, the best One Donnie here, with my AEW All In predictions. Unfortunately, my co-hosts for the We Are Wrestling podcast, Ben and Danny, are unavailable, so it's just me riding solo for this predictions. But before I give you guys all the good details and who I think is going to win, and, my thoughts on all the matches coming up for this event, if you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, and you're not a part of the thousands of subscribers, we recommend you to hit that subscribe button now, turn on the post notifications. Videos be coming out of nowhere like an RKO, and of course, you already know, the grind is real. And if you're listening to the All In predictions, give us a 5-star review, not just a 5-star review, but a best one review, and download the episode. And now, with that being said, let's dive into AEW All In. And normally, before we go into the matches, we usually talk about our thoughts on the overall build for this event. And I'm going to say, my thoughts about the build: it was a little lackluster to begin with, but this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite, I think they did a fantastic go-home show for this event. I think that maybe the reason why this build wasn't as good is because there's a lot of trio matches, there's a lot of tag matches I'm noticing, and I feel like guys like Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley, who in the pro wrestling community are, known as, the best on the PWI Top 500. They should not be wrestling in a Stadium Stampede match or a random trios match. I feel like you need to put the best of the best at it. This is the biggest show in All Elite Wrestling history, so of course there's going to be high expectations, especially when Chris Jericho says All In is more important than WrestleMania. That's the expectations I expect. And I will say some of the matches on the card I'm not really excited about, but there's other matches on the card that I am very excited about, especially MJF versus Adam Cole, which I feel like every AEW fan is super excited for that. I feel like it is the most unpredictable match in pro wrestling. We really don't know what's going to happen, and most of the time in, the pro wrestling world, things are very predictable. And I feel like with MJF and Adam Cole, it can really go either way. And it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, what transpires at All In. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Jericho and Ospreay, last week, I could care less. This week, during that contract signing, man, Will Ospreay and Jericho sold me. And sometimes it's all it takes is one great video package or one great segment to sell me the match. And honestly, I'm looking forward to those two matches the most. Also, CM Punk and Samoa Joe, that's going to be a fun one. We know that they got history going all the way back to, the beginning of their careers, and they grew up, in the business together. So I definitely think there are some great matches on this card, and I think that every woman, every men in AEW that's on this card, they are going to over-deliver, and I think that this is going to be a fantastic show. Which, by the way, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs listening and watching, if you want to watch AEW All In with myself, the Load Rager Ben, which, by the way, will be his first time watching a full AEW show, and Danny the Mark Huckins, we're all going to be live here on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Sunday for AEW All In. But man, with that being said, let's dive into the matches. And we're going to start off with the 0 Hour, and I feel like this is going to be one of the most viewed 0 hours in all of, pro wrestling history. I think including WWE pre-shows. I think that there's going to be a lot of eyes on this. I think the 0 Hour does look very good. I think on a normal pay-per-view or a Premier Live event, they could be regular matches on a card. So the first one we have is for the ROH World Tag Team Championships. Aussie Open, Mark Davis, Kyle Fletcher versus MJF and Adam Cole, baby. And honestly, I'm very excited about this. I feel like they should have beat FTR, but I understand why, they wanted FTR to retain the titles now. Because, of course, we're getting FTR versus Young Bucks 3, and you're putting two of your best tag teams on your biggest show in your company's history. So I understand why they didn't want Adam Cole and MJF to win. Honestly, I like the factor that these two have to team together before going against each other in the main event of All In. I think that this is a great way to get more eyes on, the 0 Hour. And a lot of people have been enjoying this with MJF and Adam Cole, and I think going against a very experienced tag team like Aussie Open, this is going to be a great opportunity to show how good Aussie Open is. Because if you've been hiding under a rock and you don't really follow New Japan Pro Wrestling or the independent circuit, Aussie Open is one of the best tag teams in wrestling today. And I think that them going against a popular act like MJF and Adam Cole is definitely going to have more eyes on them, and hopefully they pick up more momentum from this moving forward. So, who do I have winning this match? I think that it's going to be MJF and Adam Cole. They're going to win the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships, and I think that they're going to do this because they're going to vacate the titles and they're going to do a whole tournament thing on Ring of Honor realistically. I don't see Adam Cole or MJF appearing on there. ROH these days is worse than AEW Dark. And I think that Aussie Open, they're going to transition from Ring of Honor to AEW. And I think that's why they're doing this match, so that more eyes could be on Aussie Open, which, honestly, is brilliant. And I hope to see MJF get the kangaroo kick. Moving on now to the next pre-show match, the 0 Hour. It is a singles match for the FTW Championship. Jack Perry, Jungle Man, he's not a boy anymore, versus Hook. And we never really got the build here. I know, AEW is supposed to have a segment with, Jack Perry on Wednesday for Dynamite, retiring the FTW title, which I think that's when, Hook was going to make his return. I think the reason why this match is happening, because I think something happened on Rampage or, Collision, the tapings that happened after Dynamite, I'm not 100% sure, so don't, quote me on that, but it does look like this match is going to happen according to multiple reports, and honestly, they've had this build-up ever since, Forbidden Door, so this is acceptable to me. This is okay, and I think you're putting two great young guys against each other in front of 80,000 people. Great way to get more eyes on both of these guys. Jack Perry, is being a heel now, so let's see how he can do in front of a really big crowd. And Hook, everybody loves Hook, and I think that he's lost that momentum, and I think having this feud with Jack Perry has been pretty much like it's pretty much been the refresh button for Hook. And I feel like we can't have this man, teaming with Jungle Boy. We don't need Hook teaming with Danhausen. We need to present Hook the way that he was first brought into AEW. And I think, this feud with Jack Perry has definitely got me more interested in Hook. And I'm hoping that Anna Jay joins Jack Perry pretty soon, because I think that there's just something missing with this whole Hollywood Jack Perry thing. And I feel like it's Anna Jay. I think that they both can benefit off of each other more, and I think that they could generate nuclear heat, similar to Dominic and Rhea. But even though Rhea doesn't really get heat on WWE. But who do I have winning this match? I think that Jack Perry is going to retain the FTW title, and Anna Jay is going to screw Hook. And I think that she's going to interfere this match, and we're finally going to get the pairing of Anna Jay and Jack. It only makes sense because Anna Jay, she's not a part of the JAS anymore, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I think that Jack Perry does retain the championship. Now, diving into the regular match card for AEW All In, live Wembley Stadium. So, we have a tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. FTR, Dax Hardwood, Cash Wheeler defending their titles against the Young Bucks, Matt Jackson and Nick Jackson. And this is the rubber match, because if you have not been following this feud between FTR and the Young Bucks, this has been going all the way back to being the Elite, where, the Elite, they did some skits, pretty much doing fuck the Revival, and then, when FTR's contracts were up with WWE had, no plans for them, and they decided to join AEW and jump ship, and they've been feuding ever since, they arrived in AEW, and they both have one win over each other, and the rubber match is happening on the biggest show in AEW history. And honestly, I think that this is a dream match. This is a fantastic match. I think that this is a great decision. You want to showcase the best of the best. And in my opinion, the Young Bucks and FTR, they are in that conversation in the tag team division as the best. And honestly, I could see this going either way. I think both tag teams, they, have lost some momentum, but now they're finally starting to pick up momentum. I'd rather the Young Bucks be in the tag division than the trios division. FTR, ever since Collision has become a thing, they're also doing a lot more now in AEW, which I'm glad they are. They're able to, have longer matches. They're able to, be on TV regularly. And I'm noticing that with a lot of these guys on Collision, which is something I really like that AEW has done. I hate the time spot, but I do like what Collision has done for a lot of their talent, especially FTR. Who do I have winning this match? I think that the Young Bucks are going to win the AEW Tag Team Championships against FTR, and they're going to win this rubber match. But I won't be surprised if FTR does win. Moving on now to the next match on the card, we have a fatal four-way match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Shida defending her championship against Toni Storm versus Saraya versus Dr. Britt Baker. And this build has been very lackluster. I am a fan of all four women that are in this match, and I really hope that the women's division at AEW does pick up momentum. I think that they have a lot of promising young, talent in their division, like Sky Blue. I'm very high on her. Also, Willow Nightingale, she's great. Chris Statlander, been a fan of her, since the independent days. And honestly, I think that this is going to be a really fun match. I do think we are going to be getting a new champion here, and I think that the Outcasts are going to break up. I think Saraya and Toni Storm, at some point in this match, one of them is going to, kick the other person out from, getting a big pin, and I think that that's what's going to cause, tension between the two, because at the end of the day, there's only one Women's World Championship, and I think that that's going to cost both of them, and I think we're going to get a feud with them down the line. And honestly, I think that Dr. Britt Baker, she's going to win the championship again, and that's definitely going to, bring some momentum into this women's division, and it's going to open the door for a potential match with Dr. Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter when she comes back. I think that will make some interesting television there. So, I do have, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, winning her championship back. Sorry, Shida. Moving on now to the next match here, we have a coffin tag match. Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. So, in case you did not watch AEW Dynamite this past Wednesday, AR Fox is no longer a part of the mobile affiliates anymore. Don't know why. Horrible storytelling. I wish that, they introduced Christian and Swerve a few weeks ago and did this. I think that it would have been a lot better, but it is what it is. It does make more sense that Christian would be fighting at Wembley Stadium than AR Fox. I just don't like the way they went about it. And then Darby Allin hugging AR Fox after him and Swerve beat the living shit out of his protege, Nick Wayne, who Darby Allin is also super close to. Made absolute no sense whatsoever, but honestly, I'm very excited for this match. Anything Darby Allin excites me. He's a fantastic, AEW original, And honestly, Sting performing in front of 80,000 people, that is just awesome. And Christian Cage, he has had a lot of momentum. And honestly, man, this is going to be a fun match. But I do think that Darby Allin and Sting will win. And this will be a good way to write Christian Cage off so that going into All Out next weekend, Darby Allin will fight Luchasaurus without Christian by his side. And I think that that's going to make, some interesting television there. And it only makes sense. It only makes sense. But I am excited to see Christian Cage and Sting go at it as well in this match. And I'm hoping that Swerve, man, I thought he was going to have a big year, but I don't know. This whole heel run right now has been very lackluster in my opinion. The only thing that I enjoyed so far with Swerve Strickland in 2023 was, him and AR Fox going to Nick Wayne's home and beating the crap out of him. That's the only thing that has excited me about Swerve. I think he's a great talent. I think that the potential is there. And I think that this man could be a future world champion. But man, something is missing. I'm just not a fan of the mobile affiliates. I'm just going to say it. But I do have Darby Allin and Sting beating them in this coffin tag match. Moving on now to the next match we have here. Another trios match that I know it's going to be a good match, but I kind of wish that some of these guys were in single matches on, their biggest show in their company's history. We have the Golden Elite, Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page versus Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson and Jay White. And this match just makes absolute no sense whatsoever. I understand, Takeshita, he's got issues with Kenny Omega because of the whole Don Callis thing. I understand that. I would have rather had them, have a singles match than pretty much pairing, Takeshita with, the Bullet Club Gold, who haven't even been on Dynamite until they randomly attacked Kenny Omega for no reason. They've been on Collision regularly, so why couldn't we get something with, Jay White on, Collision? You could have had Jay White go against Andrade. You could have had, Jay White go against somebody else that's on, Collision. It would have just been a little bit better. Even you could have built Kenny Omega versus Jay White. That would have put, asses in seats. I would have been more invested in that. But I understand, Tony Khan, he does have a pretty big roster. He's trying to make everybody happy. And the people that aren't on this card, I guarantee you they're upset that they're not on this card. This is the biggest show in All Elite Wrestling history, in front of 80,000 people. So if you're not on this card, a lot of eyes aren't going to be on you. So I understand why we're getting a lot of these big matches like Stadium Stampede, tag matches, trio matches. I totally understand. It's just I wish Kenny Omega was in a singles match instead of a random trios. But it is what it is. This will be a good match overall. All six guys, they're they're fantastic performers. And I do think that the Golden Elite, they will win. Moving on to the next match on the card, we have the Stadium Stampede match. Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, and Penta versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio, Wheeler Yuta, Santana, and Ortiz. And honestly, I will say this. I am very excited for this match because, of course, this is happening at Wembley Stadium, and you really don't know what AEW has under their sleeve with this one. But it's the same situation I have with the Kenny Omega match. Jon Moxley is known as one of the best pro wrestlers outside of WWE right now. He should be, in a regular singles match, getting more spotlight. Honestly, I would have loved to see Jon Moxley versus Eddie Kingston. And I really want Eddie Kingston to start being a regular on AEW Dynamite TV. He is so entertaining. He's so charismatic. He's so good at what he does. And honestly, Santana and Ortiz, love their return. I think they did a great job. I'm glad that Proud and Powerful are back. I really do hope that this time around, they do get a legitimate chance at winning the AEW Tag Team Championships. I think that they absolutely deserve it. And they're such an underrated tag team. Also, it is cool that we are getting AEW originals like Best Friends and Orange Cassidy in this match as well. I think that AEW is doing a fantastic job showcasing their day ones on this card, which is something I do have to appreciate. As much as I'm not a fan of the Best Friends as much, I do love Orange Cassidy though. But man, this is going to be a brawl, and I'm very excited to watch it. The build has been a little I do like the way they did write off Rey Fenix, because unfortunately Rey Fenix couldn't come to the UK due to, some visa issues, which is very unfortunate. But I think that we do have a solid, teams going into this, and it should be a fun match overall. Here's who I think is going to win. It is going to be the Blackpool Combat Club, Santana and Ortiz. I can't see, the Blackpool Combat Club losing another big match. We already saw them lost, the Blood and Guts match already, and Santana and Ortiz just came back, so it wouldn't make sense for them to lose right away. And the Best Friends, they can lose and still, be on Ring of Honor. But honestly, it's going to be a very fun match. But moving on now to the next match on the card, we have a singles match. Will Ospreay with Don Callis versus Chris Jericho. And man, this contract signing last week, if you have not checked it out, recommend you guys to go to AEW's YouTube channel and check that out. Or if you want to check out my genuine reaction to this contract signing and Will Ospreay just throwing bombs at the AEW locker room, teasing that he's going to join AEW once his New Japan Pro Wrestling contract is up, recommend you guys to go check that reaction out, because man, I was absolutely shocked with how amazing both Jericho and Ospreay did with this contract signing. And I love when Jericho is being Jericho. That's the best Jericho we get, is when he's being himself. Not a freaking wizard or Jericho Appreciation Society, sports entertainer. I love when Jericho is just being authentic and real. And it's made me more invested into this match. Here's what I think is going to happen. And they have teased this in a backstage segment on Dynamite this past Wednesday. I think that Sammy Guevara is going to cost Jericho this match, and I think that that's going to open the door for Sammy Guevara versus Jericho, which I do hope that we get Jericho versus Guevara at All Out, but I hope that that's not the end of the feud. I really hope that Jericho and Guevara, they get feud for the rest of the year. I think that Sammy Guevara could definitely benefit from, turning on Jericho, and he can definitely take the next step in his career, something that he's been very close to getting to that next step, but it just hasn't been enough. And I think him, turning on Jericho, a lot of people will get shocked by that. But here's what I'm hoping out of this. I don't want Sammy Guevara to join the Don Callis family. Let Sammy Guevara go off on his own. He doesn't need anybody. Just let him do his thing. And I think that he should turn on Jericho, not because of Don Callis. He turns on Jericho because he's had this built-up aggression towards him. And we were teasing this after Double or Nothing. And then we kind of forgot about it. And now, with the Jericho Appreciation Society breaking up and Sammy Guevara being the only one not to walk away from his friend, he could be considering other options. And that's where, Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker come in and, get into Sammy's head. And I think that that really opens the door for a Jericho versus Guevara feud that I feel like AEW could definitely benefit off of, because they have been paired together since the very first episode of Dynamite. So I do think Will Ospreay will escape. He will win. I think that this is going to be one of the best matches on the card. And I think that Jericho, man, he's going to be turning back the clock for this one match, because of how good Will Ospreay is. And honestly, I'm really excited about this match now. But moving on now to the next match, we have a singles match for the Real World Championship. CM Punk defending his AEW title with the spray-painted X NWO style versus Samoa Joe. And man, the history that these two have going all the way back to Ring of Honor, they got the history, and honestly, you want to put the best of the best on your biggest show in your company's history. And what better way than to put CM Punk with a veteran like Samoa Joe? I think that this is going to be very interesting. I think that this is going to be a fantastic match. And honestly, I think CM Punk is going to retain his championship, but I do kind of want Samoa Joe to win, because if Samoa Joe does win the championship, he can get rid of this real world championship, and we can finally get a new championship exclusively to Collision that isn't the AEW World title with an X on it. And I think that this could, do that for Collision. And I think that Samoa Joe definitely can benefit from an AEW title more than a Ring of Honor championship. Because let's face it, Ring of Honor is worse than AEW Dark. And you can't tell me otherwise. Not sorry. But moving on now to our next match, we have a 6-man tag match for the AEW World Trios Championships. The House of Black, Malachi Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King versus Billy Gunn and The Acclaimed, Anthony Bowens and Max Caster. And honestly, I'm very excited for this trios match. Anytime House of Black is, on my TV, I'm very satisfied, very happy. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought the direction that they were going in with the House of Black was we were going to get, the House of Black versus Andrade, Vance, and Rush. I thought that that was the direction we were going in, because on AEW Collision for like the first, 4 weeks of its show, Andrade was feuding with the House of Black, and then after the ladder match, we haven't seen Andrade ever since. And I know that the House of Black, they did have a trios match against, The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, and they did the whole, fake retirement thing, which, man, they did a great job with that. And I gotta say, I think that The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn are going to win the trio titles. Do I want that to happen? I don't want that to happen. I do want the House of Black to retain the titles. I feel like The Acclaimed, they're not the right team to take the titles off of them. And right now, I'm enjoying the House of Black's title run. I'm enjoying what they've done with them, especially on Collision. So I'm going to just say it. I'm going for the House of Black. And I could be wrong, because I think that it could go both ways. But moving on now to the main event match on AEW All In at Wembley Stadium. The greatest of all time. We Are Wrestling Maniac himself, MJF, defends the AEW World Championship, the Triple Bs, against Adam Cole, baby. And I think that there's no match that is bigger than this. And AEW, they did a great job with this whole Adam Cole and MJF feud. And I remember being upset when we had this match for the first time, Adam Cole and MJF. But, of course, they protected themselves because they went over the time limit. And due to going over the time limit, MJF retained his AEW championship. And Adam Cole, was pissed off about that. He wanted 5 more minutes. And these two absolutely despised each other. And they did this random, blind tag team eliminator, which at first I was very iffy about. But putting MJF and Adam Cole together in a tag team, this was a great way to, get them more TV time. And I feel like with Adam Cole, his AEW run before this was very lackluster. I was not enjoying heel Adam Cole at all, and I think that him feuding with MJF really brought out the best in him, and it made him feel like a big-time player. And that is when Adam Cole is at his A-game. NXT, he was a big-time player. When he was in Ring of Honor, he was a big-time player. When he was running the Independents, he was a big-time player. And when Adam Cole's a big-time player and you give him those cards, that is where you're going to get Adam Cole at his A-game. And I think putting him against right now, the best AEW original, and I think the best pro wrestler in professional wrestling today, MJF, they have created magic with this entire thing. And this, in my opinion, is the most unpredictable match in 2023 because there's, legitimate cases for Adam Cole to win the championship. And there's legitimate cases that MJF, he's not going to lose the championship. So, here's my bold prediction, and here's what I think is going to happen. And I could be wrong. I think a lot of us are 50-50 on this match, which is exactly how a main event match on your biggest pay-per-view in your company's history should be. This is how it should be. It should be unpredictable. You shouldn't know who's going to win. And I think that what's going to happen, MJF is going to beat Adam Cole clean. That's right, I said it. Adam Cole is going to lose to MJF clean. And they're going to do their hug it out thing. The Kingdom is going to come out. And when they do the hug it out thing, Adam Cole is going to turn heel and he's going to low blow MJF. And then the Kingdom, they're going to run down that ramp and Adam Cole's going to be the leader of the Kingdom. He's going to reunite with Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett. And we're going to see them regularly now on AEW TV. And I think that MJF is going to be a babyface moving forward. And honestly, it'll be just a fresh breath of air doing that. Because Adam Cole is at his A game when he's a heel. Especially when, he is, one of your top guys. And MJF, he's done a fantastic job going from being one of the freaking most hated wrestlers to now being one of the most loved wrestlers in AEW. He's gotten a double clothesline over, which in today's wrestling, with people doing springboards and doing gymnastic, front flips, back flips, getting a clothesline over, a double clothesline over, and even a kangaroo kick. He has the crowd on the palm of his hands. He doesn't have to be an asshole to do it. MJF is going babyface. But then again, he does the whole devil thing too. He almost, attacked Adam Cole with the ring. So it could go both ways. It can go both ways. But I do think that it's going to be MJF who retains the title. Him and Adam Cole, they hug it out. The crowd's gonna, go nuts. Adam Cole's going to hit him with the low blow. And that is how we're going to end AEW All In. But guys, let me know in the comment section below your predictions going into AEW All In. We'll be live Sunday on the We Are Wrestling YouTube channel, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Myself, the Load Ranger Ben, and Danny Huckins will all be live watching AEW All In. We hope you guys join the stream, and we hope you guys are there. If you guys enjoyed this predictions, make sure to smash that like button now. If you're not a We Are Wrestling Maniac yet already, subscribe, turn on the post notifications. The link's down in the description below. You can go follow me over on my social medias and my personal YouTube channel. All the links down below. And if you're listening to the podcast, give us a 5-star review. Not just a 5-star review, but a best one review. And download the episode. Really helps, this podcast grow. But of course, to all the We Are Wrestling Maniacs out there worldwide, we are taking over. Peace.